I'm no expert on immigration, and I'm not going to pretend to be, but I really feel like there's some lessons that could be learned from what's going on in Springfield. And, you know, I have been seeing a lot of interviews with people in the streets in Springfield talking about what's going on and just how bringing in 15,000 immigrants over a 3-year period has affected the lives of the citizens of Springfield. And huge concern, and rightfully so, is a lot of the Haitians had never even driven a car before they became, citizens of Springfield. And, what's happening is we've got a lot of unlicensed drivers, inexperienced drivers that are on the roads and streets of Springfield. And kind of stuns me that there's not someone within the government, federal, state, local, that is doing any kind of real follow-up here. I mean, how does that go on for 3 years? Here in this state, the law is that you have to be a licensed driver to even own a car. So how do you even register a car like that? I don't know. But Governor DeWine said that in talking about that side of the issue, that they're going to start doing driver's ed classes probably next month. And, that's a good solution because you need to educate the drivers. Now, I kind of feel like that falls under the state because that comes under the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. And, so the state needs to get a grip on that. Now, I realize 15,000 immigrants is a big number. Of course, not all of them are driving age. And so it's going to take a moment to catch up with that. But in the future, they really need to have a caseworker and follow up to be sure that things are going okay, that immigrants are doing what is expected in following the laws in the state and federal government. And so I see that as a good solution to educate them, and you can give them a driver's license with immigration status, and anybody that wants to proclaim that they're going to vote in the general election, the presidential election, that wouldn't happen anyway. Number one, it's illegal, and number two, here in Ohio, we have a voter ID law. Your state-issued ID must match your current address and be valid. In other words, not expired. So, that seems to me like a good solution. Let's get that going. Don't get yourselves behind, and the rest of the country needs to follow along with the lessons that are learned from Springfield. Another thing that has been an issue is children are being enrolled in schools that are not vaccinated. Now, childhood vaccines here in the state of Ohio are mandatory in order to enroll your children into school. So, that's important. I mean, we're talking about our kids and their kids too. And Governor DeWine, once again, has recognized the problem, and they're going to start bringing in mobile clinic, and probably within the next week or two, and having it come around to different neighborhoods on a schedule. And they're opening that up to all citizens of Springfield. So, they're not just taking care of the immigrants, they have the ability to help out the citizens that are also living in Springfield. I think that's a cool thing. Now, I want to say something about Mike DeWine. I've never voted for the man. He and I are on two different sides of the fence on policies that are important to me. So I will never vote for Mike DeWine. But I did appreciate, back during COVID in 2020, he was doing daily updates on the situation, the pandemic and numbers and, you know, trying to inform the people. I found it very helpful, and I appreciated that he took every day to do that, despite the fact that his own party was forming mobs outside of the State House to the point where they had to lock the doors. There were some of those updates on live TV where you could hear them pounding on the doors there in the State House. And there was one crazy picture that a photographer took from inside the State House, shooting out at the other side of the glass door. And what the mob looked like out there is straight out of a scene of Night of the Living Dead. Look that up on the internet because you want to see some insanity. That picture says it all. I digress with that. Let's go back to, learning a lesson. There are other things that are concerns with the people of Springfield from what I've seen in these interviews of the people that live there, that know the experience. Now, back before the immigrants came, Springfield wasn't doing so good. They had been affected quite a bit by the opioid crisis. A lot of people had left Springfield. Housing was sitting empty, rentals, sitting empty and decaying, and so the immigrants came in and started occupying the rentals. And I saw one guy on the streets who was from Springfield, and he's saying that it's really hard to find housing, that the rentals just aren't available anymore. And, Kamala Harris is talking about building millions of homes and offering them to first-time buyers, which I think is an excellent idea. I honestly feel like Springfield would be the place to really, the first place to start that and allow U.S. citizens that are in Springfield that cannot afford to buy their first home or any home be part of that program and allow them to buy those houses. And that opens up those rentals for the Haitian immigrants that are there. I certainly wouldn't give them a break on, buying a house when the citizens of Springfield and the United States citizens aren't able themselves to buy that first time home. But I certainly would love to see the people that live there and work there and raise their families there, and long-time residents should have the ability to do that. That would be amazing. And I think that, the federal government, Kamala Harris, y'all need to come forward and start talking about what's going on in Springfield, because I really haven't heard a whole lot about any of that from you guys. So you should work on that. Obviously, the school systems and food supply, there's a crunch. You don't send 15,000 people into a city, a small city, and not have it affect a lot of different areas and have challenges. And there's, I believe, a solution for everything if you just set your mind to it. And I would like to thank Governor Mike DeWine for actually governing and acting like a leader and coming in to the city, seeing the problems, coming up with solutions, and telling America, I don't see the Springfield that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are portraying. It's simply not happening. Let's fix what's wrong. And quite frankly, can't talk about immigration without talking about the border. And the border has problems, serious problems. It's unfortunate that we had a bipartisan bill passed in the Senate, shot down in the House because Donald Trump decided it would be better if he could create his own little hellscape in the United States over immigration, because that's his political strategy and policy. What he needs to do is get the hell out of the way and let the true leaders do their jobs. Just saying.